How far would you go for your mom? Would you kill and steal a baby for her? In this totally shocking case, a woman and her daughter conspired to commit the most heinous crime. But would they get away with it? Let's find out. Marlene Ochoa was born on November 16, 1999, to her mom Raquel and dad Arnulfo Ochoa. While she was still very young, her family moved to Chicago from Mexico in hopes of finding greener pastures. Marlene's family describes her as a very beautiful and joyful girl with lots of dreams in life. She was very social, always smiling, laughing, and had a positive outlook on life. She was also doing her best at school, with hopes of going to college and becoming a singer or fashion designer. When Marlene was 15 years old, she met a boy named Giovanni Lopez, whom she fell completely in love with. The two started dating, and a year later, Marlene discovered that she was pregnant. She gave birth to their son Joshua in 2016, and then she and Giovanni got married the following year. Despite being a mom at such a young age, Marlene was determined to fulfill her dreams. So, when the child was a little older, she went back to school to complete her studies. In 2018, Marlene was juggling between school and raising her son when she discovered she was pregnant with her second child. This was kind of a bittersweet moment for Marlene, who, although was super happy about the new baby, was also nervous because she knew that it would be difficult to continue with her studies while raising two children. So she ended up joining a Facebook group called Help a Sister Out, where expectant moms in the community would encourage and support each other. It is in this group that Marlene came to know 46-year-old Clarissa Figueroa. Clarissa was a mom of two adult children, a 24-year-old called Desiree and a 20-year-old son called Xander. In early 2018, Xander unfortunately died of natural causes, leaving Clarissa completely heartbroken. A few months later, in October 2018, Clarissa announced that she was pregnant, which came as a shock to her friends and family who knew that she had her tubes tied. But she seemed really excited about it and even started posting about the pregnancy on Facebook, sharing ultrasound images and photos of the baby's room. Among the photos she shared was one of a crib up against a wall that was decorated with the letters spelling out the name Xander. In another post, she shared a photo of a nursery in her home, which showed a mural of a tree that had been painted to surround the name Xander. One friend who commented on the post asked about how she could be pregnant again if she had gotten her fallopian tubes tied. Clarissa replied that she had them untied during an emergency surgery for her appendix and that she would be getting her baby in May. Around that time, Clarissa, who by then had joined the Facebook group called Help a Sister Out, posted in the group asking, "Who is due in May? Where is the May mamas at?" After one woman replied, "Right here," she replied, "I don't feel lonely anymore. Yay." On March 5th, 2019, Marlene also posted on the same group saying, "Hello ladies, I'm due May 10th and still need a ton of things for my son. Due to the fact that I'm in school and can't work at the moment, I can't afford to buy the rest of the things since I'm short on cash right now." Clarissa responded to the post and offered to give the teen brand new baby clothes for free. Marlene obviously was really touched by Clarissa's generous offer, and they started chatting and making arrangements on where to meet so that she could be given the baby stuff. Clarissa suggested that Marlene should come over to her place on April 1st to take the items, and the teen innocently agreed, not knowing what Clarissa had in store for her. A few days before Marlene was expected to go to Clarissa's house, Clarissa allegedly had a talk with her daughter Desiree, asking if she would be willing to help her kill a pregnant woman and steal her baby from her. Desiree was obviously shocked, and she completely said no. She later told her then-boyfriend about it, who threatened to call the cops. Clarissa, seeing that her plans had failed, laughed it off and said she was only joking. When Marlene arrived at Clarissa's house, she found Clarissa, Desiree, and Desiree's boyfriend. The boyfriend later said that he noticed that Clarissa and Desiree were acting all weird and nervous around Marlene, and would sometimes even leave the room to talk in private. So he called Desiree aside and reiterated his threat to call the cops if they did anything to the girl. Desiree reassured him, saying that nothing would happen and that it was just an April Fool's Day joke. Marlene, who had no idea what was going on around her, took the baby items that she came for and left. On April 23, 2019, Marlene was in school when she received a message from Clarissa telling her that she had some more baby clothes and a stroller to give her. Marlene promised to drop by her house later in the afternoon before picking up her son from daycare. At around 3 p.m. that day, Marlene was seen leaving the school and driving over to Clarissa's house. That was the last time she would ever be seen alive again. As the days slowly progressed, Marlene's husband, Yovani, started getting worried when his son's daycare called him to say that Marlene had not picked up their son from daycare. This was super weird and unlike Marlene. So Yovani started calling her family and friends to ask if they'd heard from her, but no one had seen or heard from her for a while. The family's first thought was that maybe Marlene had gone into labor early and was taken to the hospital, which is why she could not contact them. They started calling all the hospitals in the area to try to locate her, but got nothing. At this point, the family was really getting concerned, thinking that something bad had happened to Marlene. What if she was kidnapped in an accident or maybe was killed by someone? But who would want to hurt a defenseless pregnant woman? And as usually the norm in such cases, the first suspect was the spouse. Marlene's family members started thinking that maybe Yovani had done something bad to their daughter and was trying to cover it up. Yovani was extremely hurt by these accusations since he knew that he would never do anything to hurt his Marlene. In an interview, Yovani actually broke down in tears saying how his in-laws had turned on him, thinking he had done something to Marlene. That same evening, Yovani went to the police to report his wife missing. But instead of helping, the police actually made him take a polygraph test to prove he was not lying about hurting his wife. Then they told him that they could not start an investigation until 72 hours were over. Yovani went back to the police station 2 days later to file a missing persons report. But he said that the police still did not take him seriously. At this point, the family was getting really frustrated and they decided to hire a private investigator to help find Marlene. And it did not take long for the investigator to learn that Marlene had been speaking to Clarissa before she disappeared. All their communication was on Facebook, including how Marlene would stop by Clarissa's place after school. This information was forwarded to the police, who then went to Clarissa's place and found Desiree, who told them that her mother was in the hospital for problems with her legs. She also revealed that her mother had just delivered a baby. When investigators were looking around the area, they found Marlene's car parked a few blocks from Clarissa's house. But when they went to the hospital to talk to Clarissa, she completely denied that Marlene had come to her home, saying that she had only met her once in the past. This got detectives really suspicious, and they spent the next several days subpoenaing hospital records and collecting DNA from the baby and Clarissa. As it turns out, Clarissa was not actually the mother of the baby, and Yovani was found to be the father. So immediately, a search warrant was issued on Clarissa's house where detectives discovered bleach and cleaning solution in the home, as well as evidence of burnt clothes and red stains on the floor in the living room, hallway, and bathroom. They later found Marlene's body hidden in a trash can in the backyard, along with the cable used to strangle her. A medical examiner determined that she had died of strangulation. Desiree later confessed that she helped her mother kill the pregnant teen, saying that on that day when Marlene came to her home, she made her sit on the couch and distracted her with a photo album, while Clarissa snuck up behind her and wrapped a cable around her neck. Marlene managed to place her fingers between her neck and the cable, but Desiree tried pulling them away.
At that point, defendant Clarissa told defendant Desiree, quote, "You're not doing your job," end quote. Defendant Desiree then stepped up and began to peel the victim's fingers from the cable one by one.
Clarissa continued pulling the cable for about 5 minutes until Marlene's body went limp. She then took a knife and cut the baby out from her womb before disposing of the lifeless teen in a trash can. Clarissa then called 911 to report that she had just given birth and the baby was not breathing.
The caller gave birth 10 minutes ago, 46 years of age. The baby isn't breathing. The baby is pale and blue. They're doing CPR.
The paramedics and firefighters arrived, but did not enter the house since Clarissa was waiting for them outside with the baby. The two were immediately rushed to the hospital where doctors noticed that Clarissa showed no sign of just giving birth. But they didn't do anything about it, and so for weeks, Clarissa went on pretending that the baby was hers, even setting up a GoFundMe page to raise $9,000 for the baby's medical and funeral expenses, claiming that the boy was sick and wouldn't survive for long. Clarissa's 40-year-old boyfriend, Peter Boback, who allegedly helped cover up the crime, had also posted the link to the GoFundMe page on his Facebook. Giovanni and Marlene's family were completely devastated when they learned how Marlene had been taken from them.
But Giovanni Lopez couldn't hold back his anger or grief.
Vamos a tener justicia con esa persona.
He says he can't believe this is real and wants those responsible caught and punished. Marlene's mother also calling for justice.
Pues sí, que por favor le hagan justicia a uno, no porque uno sea inmigrante, ilegal.
She continued saying just because you're an undocumented immigrant doesn't mean you don't deserve to be heard. She says we are human beings too.
Their hearts sank even further when they learned that Marlene's baby was in critical condition. They named the baby Lled, as Marlene would have wanted, and prayed that he would survive. But unfortunately, he died a few months later. On May 15th, Clarissa and her daughter Desiree were arrested and charged with first-degree homicide, kidnapping, and aggravated assault. Clarissa's boyfriend, Peter, was charged with concealing a homicide. They all pleaded not guilty to the charges and were held without bond to await trial. As of May 17th, 2022, there's not been any more updates on this case, but Marlene's family still hopes that justice will be served. What do you think about this case? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more.